Big love, much respect. Welcome back, dissidents. So I want to put a accumulation of thoughts in order in this video. Anybody who has not seen the most recent installation of Weaving Spiders, episode 65, I believe. Run, get you some. We had a blast. Last Saturday, we had a fabulous guest, Mario Garza from the Symbolic Studies channel. And I'll try to tag some of his info in the show notes here. And also, I might bring forward some of my old videos that are going to overlap with the information I am bringing forward today. I want to talk about Immanuel Velikovsky's Saturnian cosmology. I am so elated to have Mario bringing an immense amount of information confirming the Immanuel Velikovsky vision of a primordial planetary alignment involving Saturn resting at the North Pole. Essentially a stacking of the planetary bodies, if you will. And one thing that is a bit of an obstacle with Velikovsky's Saturnian alignments is a lot of people presume that embracing Velikovsky's vision precludes the flat Earth cosmology. And I don't think that's necessarily true for everybody. I think we're all mentally flexible enough to hold more than one paradigm simultaneously. Living in this day and age, it's a survival strategy to be flexible with your mental paradigm. So I just want to mention that is a thing, and for me, that I'm not committed to any of this. You know, these are you can think of them as mental exercises, thought experiments, what have you. So from my old video, just to bring some of that stuff up to date, I had this period of time where I believe it was on the Higher Side Chats. I forget the fella's name. He does the Saturnian death cult material. He's written a couple books. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue, but I'll try to link him in the show notes. Essentially, just a brief synopsis of the Velikovsky vision is, Saturn sat at the North Pole. It's kind of built into the name Saturn. Turn is throne. And it sat at the throne. Saturn sat at the throne of the North. But between Earth and Saturn was the planetary body of Mars. And the Mars being smaller than Saturn, the two concentric circles had the appearance of an eye in the sky. And this is why so many ciphers are run through this circle construct. It is why the circle is the cornerstone of secret societies and decipher rings. I've talked about the ring of truth. This is the geometric perfect body. And the vision, I'll try to bring some graphics forward to depict some of Immanuel Velikovsky's visions and some of the artists who have embraced that vision and blessed us with just some ideas for our mind to consider. And I'll point out that, my introduction to Velikovsky was through Anne Rice. It was actually her book, The Devil Agamemnon, was my first introduction to the Purple Dawn of the Golden Age, which is part of Velikovsky's work. And so my revelation a few months back was regarding Saturn. After listening to the Higher Side Chat interview that gentleman whose name is I'm gonna have to look it up. Maybe I'll flash it on the screen for everybody once I find it. So, and I was realizing that the word Saturn and the name Saturn and the name Anubis are gematrological perfect matches. They are absolutely one-to-one, letter by letter. They match up perfectly. Anubis is Saturn, the jackal-headed dog. And in that time, in my personal life, I was learning about an old location in my area where I live. And I learned that where there once had been a slaughterhouse where the killing of generally pigs, I believe it was predominantly swine at this slaughterhouse. It had been a condemned building for all of my school years. And the slaughterhouse was the place to go on Halloween. And the double, triple dog dare was to go in with no flashlight. And if you could go in without a flashlight and last a couple minutes, you were a total badass. That was bragging rights for the rest of the year until you haze the next guy who's never been in there, because the walls were covered with satanic symbols and signs and indicators that dark agendas had been harnessing the blood of the earth in that location. And you could feel it. It was more than just scary symbols you can't understand in a dank, old, abandoned building. There was legitimate energy coursing through that location. And they actually bulldozed the entire building and converted the whole property into a dog park. And anybody who knows about Anubis, they know that a dog park is a strange cultivating, a strange harvesting of the energy on an even larger scale. And this was quite a revelation for me to find out that this location of much death and much passing to the other side had been converted into a dog park under everybody's nose, because nobody has the occult eyes to see that they had converted the energy of that location to basically a shrine, altar. They had made it into an altar to Anubis, because Anubis is the jackal-headed dog. So from my old videos, I also was mentioning how the word slaughter, the name of the place, we called it the slaughterhouse. Well, when you drop the S off of slaughter, you get laughter. And laughter is what jackals do. Jackals are known for laughing, for their mocking laughter. So all of these things were coming to me all at the same time, but I learned something really paramount in that time period, and that was that one of the nicknames for Anubis is he who is at the place of embalming. And that really struck a chord. I'm still processing the significance of this, as we know that the embalming process in ancient Egypt involved a brain scrape. And what are people doing all around the world right now? Nothing less than a ritualistic brain scrape. The entire DNA harvesting ritual is a homage to Anubis, to Saturn in his most ancient form. All of these things are so profound to me. If anybody knows about Velikovsky cosmology, if anybody knows anything about the Saturnian death cult, you realize what you're seeing. And the whole world is being quite bamboozled, and Anubis is laughing his ass off at these fools. So it was later on, I did learn that the owner of that dog park is a local veterinarian. And that local veterinarian is on my radar. We'll just say that, somebody who has access to animals, somebody who has harnessed a slaughtering grounds for an the intention of honoring the jackal-headed dog, in my eyes. And it's all speculation, but it's very, very well-informed speculation. I think a lot of people are going to appreciate that. So Mario blew our mind on Saturday. Everybody, cancel what you're doing. Drop everything. Run, get yourself some Weaving Spiders Welcome. Episode 65. Mario Garza. Highest praise, brother. I'm still processing the intensity of what we discovered there and what you brought forward to share with us, man. I can't wait for more. So I'm making this video because I want to put it down on record and kind of empty my cup so I can be ready to fill the cup back up again, and so I can reflect back, consider this like a bit of a journal entry in bringing my research and your research together, because the one thing that you really, really split my dome open when you talked about the ads tool. And I will link everybody to some of Mario's work in the show notes. The ads tool is the embalming implement. It is what they use to, I believe, either scrape the brain or empty the mouth. I forget exactly. It's an ancient Egyptian embalming implement, a medical implement that was used for, I think, for scraping the brain. It might have had to do with the mouth, actually, to pull out the flesh from the corpse at the ritual of embalming. So all of this is incredibly significant, as we discussed, because the ads tool has to do with this tower card, which is the mouth, the pay. 1, 6 adds up to a 7. And one of Mario's wonderful gems was telling us how the 7 and the 7 are also is representation of that North Star, which is in the center of the two Ursa cups, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor. I believe Polaris is on the very end of Ursa Major, if I'm right. And so he was mentioning how the two cups of the star card, which is the water bearer, that those two cups are representing the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper up there at the northern location, pointing at the old throne. Throne is a phonetic anagram for north, and Saturn once sat in that throne. And so all of these signs and symbols are essentially clues and indications that on a very high level, this technology is hailing back to an ancient cosmology that is hard to even fathom. But once you begin to fathom this cosmology, it's hard not to see what these signs and symbols are that are being put in our culture in so many ways. So some of the names for Saturn are very telling. And a lot of people consider Saturn to be very satanic, to be very dark and evil, for various reasons in different cultures. But one very good reason would be because it betrayed the entire construct, if all the planets were interdependent and the king left that throne in the north, if Saturn fell down out of its location and was cast down, then it became a scapegoat. It receives all of the blame. And in that conflagration, there was a flood event, and all of the waters of the earth are reportedly isometrically identical to the waters on Saturn. And whether NASA tells nothing but lies or not, that particular lie is a very significant breadcrumb. It's a whole fucking loaf of bread, if you ask me. They're telling us that the salt waters on Earth are identical to the waters on Saturn. And Saturn is represented down here with this scapegoat devil card. So Saturn was ripped from the northern, its northern location in that axial alignment, and it was cast out. And that's why we have the goat right here. And also the Age of Aquarius with this tower card and the eye in the sky. Even the word Ayin is a number 7. So the 1/6 of the tower card corresponds with the Ayin, which is also 7 in Hebrew. And the star card is number 17. So there are a whole lot of 7s down here in this location, almost as though the cups of the eye in the sky and the tower are represented with an inversion with Saturn down below. So essentially being an upside down world in this dichotomy of above and below is very significant and has powerful correspondence, to say the least. There's so much more to that, but I just wanted to point out Saturn is referred to as the fallen one. And in that spot where Saturn used to be, there's now this teeny tiny little pole star that gets all the credit for all this occult significance, because it's the only star that doesn't move. It stays in its place, having to do with the word reckoning, which means to put on a new crown. The re-crowning is reckoning, and that's why you use reckoning as a sailor on the water to find your bearings, to get your head pointed in the right direction, is the reckoning, the re-crowning. And once you find the pole star, you can reckon your route and navigate long and far distances. And I want to point out that there is a void right around the pole star. There's a very small void, light at the end of the tunnel. So many metaphors come into play. I can't even bring them all to bear right now. But that void, the word void, is an anagram for Ovid. And you better believe that fool knew what he was talking about when he went by that name. So the phrase, a very significant phrase, is the devil's greatest trick was convincing the world that he didn't exist. And this couldn't be more true. If people give Saturn that archetype of the betrayer, in the fact that it was cast out and thrown away, the Judas goat, if you will, thrown out of the circle of accepted cosmology, then it no longer exists. It's no longer here. But the signs and the symbols indicate that there was something very significant in that location. And I believe that, one of the first tenets of the Church of Set, the Church of Michael Aquino and all those fools, their first tenet is that Satan isn't real. There is no Satan. But that's the first rule of Fight Club, too. First rule of Fight Club, you don't talk about Fight Club. I think you guys know where I'm getting. So the time when, in the first few months of the lockdowns, I was reading a book to my dearest child, and we flipped to the most random page, much like bibliomancy. I had actually just been blessed with an entire stockpile of books from an incredibly wise elder who had passed away. And in the first bibliomantic celebration of this gift, I opened up the book Where the Sidewalk Ends, and we opened by Silverstein. What's his name? Shel Silverstein. Oh my gosh. The significance just keeps on coming. The shell. That's the temperance card. It's also the shell of the placenta. It's also the shell of Jupiter that was created, the purple dawn. It's so intense to see the significance of these things. It's the silver lining, the silver shining of the protective layer of Jupiter. Shel Silverstein. So I opened to page 75 with my kiddo. And these were the first two poems that we read. And this was just a couple months into lockdown. Oh, have you heard? Oh, have you heard? It's time for vaccinations. I think someone put salt into your tea. They're giving us 11th month vaccinations, and Florida has sunk into the sea. Oh, have you heard? The president has measles. The principal has just burned down the school. Your hair is full of ants and purple weasels. April Fools. Next poem. Inside everybody's nose, there lives a sharp-toothed snail. So if you stick your finger in, he may bite off your nail. Stick it farther up inside, he might bite your ring off. Stick it all the way, and he might bite the whole darn thing off. I'm not going to say anything else. I'm just going to leave that there. I'm going to drop the mic on that. There are poems near and around that one. The page before is the poem of rats. A lot of people remember these from childhood. Drats. Can anyone lend me 2 80-pound rats? I want to get rid of my house of cats. I want to rid my house of cats. And this one goes back, and look, there's two rats chasing the cats. This is an inversion of the food chain. This is an inversion of the food chain. This is the meek becoming the strong, inheriting the earth, if you will. And also a mockery of the 2 sphinxes, inverting it into 2 rats. It also has much to do with toxoplasmosis and the plague. So there's more in that book, but I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. There's so much more in that book, but I just wanted to point out the significance of that. And one last point that I should make with the nose. Putting a finger in your nose. You know, the N to the S. NS. Nose. In Septenary, because we're using the adds tool, and the adds tool looks like a 7. And I'll bring some videos from Mario's work for this. But so we're dealing with the 7. We're in septenary gematria. Well, in S, that's a 1, 6. That's your nose. That's your North Star. That is card number 16. They have been signaling 16 for a very long time. This has been in the making for a very long time. Donald Trump was in 2016. The January 6th event was a 1-6. All of these things are pointing to a fall. We're heading for a fall. And they've been slowly drip feeding the poison of that spell for quite some time. So I just wanted to point out that when you do a ritual involving your NS, putting an adze tool in your nose, you are doing a ritual to he who is at the place of embalming. You are doing a ritual to Anubis, and this is the North Star. And the whole thing is, mockery. It's mockery. It's the laughter of the jackal of Anubis sitting far, far away while everybody participates in a ritual to return to the golden age. And so I'm going to actually bring this camera in and try to show the chariot card, which came up in the video, in our Weaving Spiders Welcome. Big up to Mario for pointing out how the chariot card is much more significant than we think, but I will try to put in a graphic here, and you can see how that sphere, that womb in the lap of the charioteer, sure does look like the North Star as the Earth, as the stars rotate around the Earth. We'll say that, and I think it does have to do with the echidna, excuse me, as it looks as though those sphinx are being born out of the womb of the armored figure in the chariot card. But anybody who wants to dig in deeper on that, please go check out the Weaving Spider 65. It was so good. And I want to point out also this universe card up here. I believe that also signifies the Polaris and that North Star location. And according to Crowley, the symbol on the universe card is the Tau, and he translated that to mean the invisible within the visible. But I have translated that to subliminal, which I'm not sure if I spelled that right. So that's about everything I needed to say, because anybody who is not aware, we are about to put together another convergence over on the Interverse channel with Chance, Garton, and Mario, and myself, and quite a few other spiders are probably going to get together. So that's about to happen in about an hour or so. Hopefully I get this video out. And regardless, go jump over there and check it all out and watch my cup get filled all over again. Much love and strength, everybody. Peace.